Today is Friday, June 27, 2014. It's the 178th day of the year. There are 187 days remaining until the end of 2014. Sunrise today is at 5:08 a.m. The sun will set at 8:38 p.m. Length of daylight hours today is 15 hours, 29 minutes, 54 seconds. That's 24 seconds shorter than yesterday. Tomorrow will be 29 seconds shorter than today. The new moon rises at 5:43 a.m. with 0% illumination and sets at 8:37 p.m. The moon passes above downtown Rutland City today at 249,923 miles distant from the center of planet Earth within the fourth zodiacal designation, Cancer, the crab. On this day in 1905, the uprising aboard the Russian battleship Potemkin, during which sailors start a mutiny denouncing the crimes of autocracy, demanding liberty and an end to war. History today describes the event. The Russian Navy, in the year of the abortive revolution of 1905, preserves the harsh conditions and brutal punishments of an earlier age. Potemkin is a new battleship of the Black Sea Fleet, commissioned in 1903 with a crew of 800. It's not a particularly happy ship, and some of the crew harbor revolutionary sympathies. In particular, a young non-commissioned officer, Matyushenko, who takes a leading part in the mutiny. At sea on June 27, the cooks complain that the meat for the men's borscht is riddled with maggots. The ship's doctor takes a look and decides the maggots are only flies' eggs and the meat is perfectly fit to eat. Later, a deputation goes and complains to the captain, his executive officer, Commander Gilyrovsky, about worms in their soup. Their spokesman is a seaman named Valenchuk, who expresses himself in such plain language that Gilyrovsky flies into a violent rage, pulls out a pistol, and shoots him dead on the spot. The others seize executive officer Gilyrovsky and throw him overboard. As he flounders in the sea, he's shot and killed. Others of the crew join in. The captain, the doctor, and several other officers are killed, and the rest of the officers are shut away in one of the cabins. The Potemkin hoists a red flag, and a people's committee is chosen to take charge. The chairman is Matyushenko. The events are dramatized by Soviet film director Sergei Eisenstein in the 1925 silent film Battleship Potemkin, produced by Mosfilm. It presents a dramatized version of the mutiny 20 years earlier, and it's called one of the most influential propaganda films of all time, and was named the greatest film of all time at the Brussels World's Fair in 1958. The scene of a baby in a carriage rolling down the Odessa steps is considered by many critics to be the best example of Eisenstein's theory about film montage, and many subsequent movies pay homage to that scene, including Terry Gilliam's Brazil, Francis Ford Coppola's The Godfather, Brian De Palma's The Untouchables. In 1974, on this day, U.S. President Richard Milhouse Nixon visits the Soviet Union. Nixon and Soviet Premier Leonid Brezhnev exchange pleasantries, meaning Brezhnev doesn't mention Watergate, nor Nixon's then secret war in Cambodia, nor, God forbid, Nixon's impending impeachment. And the two old gangsters get down to business and successfully negotiate nuclear weapons reduction. Because really, how many thousands of H-bombs do you need to drop on somebody before they vaporize? A rhetorical question. The last time Nixon was in Soviet Union is 1958, when he's Eisenhower's vice president. The two countries have agreed to set up national exhibitions as part of an ongoing series of cultural exchanges designed to reduce mutual tension. But with the timing for which it's justly notorious, the American Congress has just days before Nixon's scheduled to leave for Moscow passed the so-called Captive Nations Resolution, condemning the Soviets for its enslavement of Eastern Europe. Soviet Premier Nikita Khrushchev is insulted, to say the least, so when he shows up to meet Nixon in this little model American kitchen, the two of them get into it. Khrushchev's not impressed with mixed masters and color TVs. Nixon tells Khrushchev he should not be afraid of ideas. After all, Nixon says, "You don't know everything." Khrushchev says, "You don't know anything about communism except fear of it." The exchange is recorded on color videotape, then a new innovation, and rebroadcast in both countries. We see Khrushchev looking very much like a mobster with a broad-brimmed Borsalino fedora, standing toe-to-toe with Nixon, and Nixon jabbing his finger at Khrushchev's chest. It's a classic moment in international diplomacy. Born this day in 1925, Doc Pomus, American blues singer and songwriter, best known for writing a series of songs for the Coasters, Elvis Presley, Ray Charles. Doc Pomus writes Youngblood, Little Sister, Lonely Avenue. He says he writes songs for people stumbling around in the night out there. uncertain, or not always so certain of exactly where they fit in and where they're headed. Doc Pomus dies in 1991. In New Hopes for a Changing World, Bertrand Russell writes, "Our great democracies still tend to think that a stupid man is more likely to be honest than a clever man, and our politicians take advantage of this prejudice by pretending to be even more stupid than nature made them." From Rutland, Vermont, this is Richard Alcott speaking.